All right. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Wayne State Live, the Ask a Warrior Q&A session here on the internet. I want to thank you all for being here today. We have some wonderful panelists here to answer your questions as we go down this journey of exploration here in Midtown Detroit and on Wayne State University's campus. My name is Nick Rivera. I'm one of the undergraduate admissions counselors here, and I'll serve as the MC for the night. But we do have two wonderful students and a financial aid representative here to answer any and all questions that you may have about our wonderful community that we call home. I want to introduce everybody now, starting with your name, where you work, your title or major, your year, and a silly question. I think what we'll do is, what is your guilty pleasure? I'll start with Annabelle, and then we'll go down the line, and I'll answer last before we jump right into some questions there. So, Annabelle?
All right. Hi, everyone. My name is Annabelle Hoy. I am a senior here at Wayne State University studying kinesiology. I'll be graduating in December, and I'm very excited to be doing so. I am currently the Wayne State Campus Visit Coordinator, so I am in charge of setting up all of the tours that we give here on campus. It's a very exciting job for me. I love meeting all the prospective students. And I would say my guilty pleasure is probably taking too long of showers. Just feel a little bit bad about wasting all of that water. So.
Great answer, Annabelle. We're happy to have you here. We'll move on to Delaney next.
Hi, guys. My name is Delaney. I'm currently in my second year here at Wayne State as a sophomore. So I'm studying broadcast journalism with a minor in new media. So that can be anything ranging from doing television work to radio work, or simply working with social media, website design, all of that sort of thing, in any sort of field. But I'm particularly interested in working in the music business, but we'll see how that goes. I also work here on campus. I am actually one of the senior warrior guides under the campus visits. So Annabelle is actually my boss. Haha. So just like she said, it is really a fun job, really rewarding. We absolutely love it when students get in contact with us. That's what we're there for. And, you know, it's really nice as a student, especially since I am still early on in my undergrad, to be able to answer all of those questions that I had coming in. I kind of get that opportunity. So it's really great. My guilty pleasure would definitely be going home after a long, hard day, sitting down with a tub of Nutella and just eating it with a spoon. No pretzels required, no strawberries required, just me, spoon, Nutella. That's it. That's my guilty pleasure.
That is great. I don't know a lot of people who don't like Nutella. We're going to move on to Mariah now. And now Mariah is not a student. She works in financial aid, but I'll let her introduce herself. Mariah?
All right. Hi, everyone. I'm Mariah LeGrand. I do work in the Office of Financial Aid here at Wayne State as a financial aid officer. Also love Nutella, so I think we all have that in common. I've been at Wayne State and in Michigan, actually, for just over a year now. Totally love this job here. Love how much time I get to spend with students, and I'm excited to be helping you all tonight. When it comes to my guilty pleasure, probably would have to be those weekend days where you can just spend the entire day in your pajamas. It's nothing like it.
That is excellent. Mariah, I'm happy to have you here. You'll be able to answer any and all financial aid questions that we have. So students, keep them coming. I'll introduce myself again. My name is Nick Rivera. I'm one of the undergraduate admissions counselors here at the university. I've been at Wayne State for quite a while. I was a student originally. I graduated and never left. So I do love this place. I love talking about Wayne State, going out to different high schools and community colleges and speaking with students. I got a degree in psychology when I was a student here, and I'm originally from the Detroit area, so I've been here for quite a while. If I were to answer the guilty pleasure question, I would have to say that it's eating tres leches cake. See, it's a great cake. It's delicious, but I may be a little lactose intolerant. But it's something I just can't stop doing. Tres leches, for you guys who don't know, is a 3-milk cake. It's amazing. Try it out. I do want to introduce the forum that we have here. This is a live Q&A, so students and parents and pretty much anyone who's interested can ask questions in quite a few different ways. You can tweet at us on Twitter using the hashtag #AskAWarrior and including the at Wayne State on there. So we'll track that and we'll answer questions that way. We do have a few questions that came in when students were RSVPing on our Wayne State website as well. So quite a bit to go through in this hour. So we'll try to answer them all and we'll go from there. So right off the bat, there are a few questions that a lot of people want to know. Some of the submissions that came in before this event were really just what's it like in Midtown, and I think that's a great place to start. So Annabelle, would you like to answer that, and then we can kind of go down the line here, student perspective, worker perspective, and so forth. So.
I would definitely say the student's perspective is something I'm a little unfamiliar with. The later I go on in my academic career, I'm only taking 6 credits this semester, and 4 of them are actually an internship for me. But going back to my freshman year, I absolutely loved the student life. I lived in one of our residence halls, which is Towers. I just met so many people there. There's so many activities you can be involved in. Like every Wednesday is Warrior Wednesday, and they always have some kind of activity going on. Blow up things you can go through. That's a lot of fun. I've also worked on campus since I was a freshman. So I've had a handful of different jobs, which is also really great. So from a worker's perspective, and as a student, that's really good for me. I've just gotten a lot of different connections, met a lot of different people, gotten a lot of cool Wayne State gear. It's an endless amount. So yeah, I would say that's about it for me though, as of right now.
Excellent. That's a great answer. Delaney, do you have anything to add?
Yeah, for sure. So like I said, currently a sophomore. And I did live on campus for my first year. And I think student life at Wayne State is a lot more involved than most people would suspect. So one thing I always say on my tours, like I said, I am also a tour guide. One thing I always say is that you will never be bored. Like we always have things going on. So one thing that we do through our Dean of Students office is called Thursdays in the D. And every Thursday there's an event for students. Typically it's free. I mean, sometimes it may cost a few dollars. But nothing major, and they do provide transportation there and back. And, you know, I remember last year we went on our riverboat tour, and they had music and food and the whole thing, and it was like 3 hours long, and it was a lot of fun. So things like that are always popping up, but then, you know, since we are downtown and we are in Midtown, we have access to all of those different sports venues and the concert venues. We have parks all around us. Different events will come to the DIA and the Historical Museum. So there's just always so much going on. You're not going to be stuck in your res hall at night with nothing to do. People are always here out hanging out on campus as well. We have volleyball courts. So, I mean, it's a lot of fun around here for sure.
Excellent, excellent. Mariah, do you have anything to add as a new Detroiter here? Anything new that you've discovered that you want to share, or anything that's really standing out to you so far?
Well, I guess I obviously don't live on campus, but I don't live far from campus. I live just a couple miles north of here. And just being in Midtown, it's been pretty amazing. It feels like some kind of like a new business or new restaurant or something opens like every week. So particularly in the Cass Corridor, it's really cool to walk down there and see what's going on. The Q line also just opened, this past summer? So now it's really, really easy to you can get on right outside of the buildings at Wayne State, and you can go all the way downtown in 10 minutes. It's really fast. So really, you're really, really close to everything that there is to do around here, which is pretty cool.
That's excellent. Those are all really great answers. And we do encourage students to come down if you guys are interested in checking out our campus. Annabelle is the campus tour coordinator. Delaney is a tour guide. They'd love to show you around campus, and she can actually talk a little bit about campus tours in a bit. I do want to move on to one of the questions that we get quite often in the admissions realm is asking about class sizes and just classes in general. Annabelle and Delaney, what is your interaction with the professors like? What are the class sizes like? Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, I can take the lead on that one. So for me, I'm in a science-related major. So starting off as a freshman, I took a lot of science classes like biology, and those happen to be bigger lecture halls. Our biggest lecture hall actually sits 800 students. although they don't fill it with 800 students. They cap it off at about, I would say 350, 400 students. So although it's still a very big lecture hall, there's different resources outside of that. So we have tutoring for every single one of our subjects. And we also have something called sessions, which is supplementary instruction, which is led by a current student who has taken that class previously and has excelled in that subject. So there's endless amounts of resources to help you out with that. But then going out of a lecture hall, our student to staff ratio is 1 to 17. So for every 17 students, there's one staff member for them. So that makes it smaller classroom sizes, which is really, really great. And honestly, that's smaller than a lot of high school classrooms. There's a lot of students who I've talked to. They'll come from big high schools, and their class sizes are like 35 students. Although some of our class sizes will be that large, it really depends on the subject. We do have that smaller size classroom, which is really well, makes it more personable with your teacher or professor. And I'd really say it just makes it more comfortable and an easier way to connect with your professors and get resources. We also are a Carnegie One Research Institute. So the research opportunities are endless. And if you're interested in getting involved with that, those classroom sizes and opportunities outside of the classroom make it a little bit more easy to get involved with that.
All right, I'll go ahead and kind of tack on to what she was saying. So just in addition to the lecture classes that we do have, every single lecture will have an accompanying lab or discussion section that goes with it. So you may be in a larger lecture hall on Monday, so to say, but then maybe on Wednesday, you would have that lab or discussion time. And that is actually led typically by a TA or maybe a different professor. So now you have two people you can go to ask questions. And then in that lab and discussion time, that's when you get that smaller ratio, that 17-to-1 sort of small classroom feel. So it's kind of nice to get both takes on the situation. But moving on from that, so I am in the College of Fine Performing and Communication Arts, or CFPCA is what we do call it on campus, because that's a whole big long title. So as a broadcast journalism major, I get to do a lot of really awesome hands-on work. So just to kind of give you an idea, last year, one of my classes was production. So I was actually using Hollywood-grade film equipment and editing equipment, audio software, lighting, all of that. And my final project for the entire semester was to do a documentary on anything I wanted, which was really fun. You know, some of my other classes were things like writing news stories. So I was contacting Birdman Records, which is down in Cass Corridor. That's Jack White's record shop. And did some research in that way. I wrote a story about Lady Gaga performing at the Super Bowl, and actually went out and did some interviews with different students. You know, people from different age groups, people who are planning on going and seeing her at tour. So you have a lot of opportunities here, and the professors definitely want to let you have that creative freedom to kind of pursue and take the general class structure, but to definitely direct it into what you are interested in actually studying. So like I said, the music industry is big for me, which is why I tend to look into those sorts of topics. So classes are really fun. You won't be like banging your head on a wall. You don't have to worry about it. It's not going to be boring. Because like Annabelle said, our professors are really hands-on because we are a research university. So they're always doing research themselves. Everything is up to date. They're not going to be teaching you something they learned in the 70s when they were at college. So it's always being updated, and they really know what that's like. So it's a lot of fun.
Those are all excellent things to hear. I'm glad you guys could share your perspectives with us. Mariah, have you taken classes at Wayne State?
I have not yet, but I probably will soon.
That's excellent to hear. So Wayne State does have students of all walks of life, ages, backgrounds, and professional experience. So it's definitely open to you, Mariah, and myself as well. But again, we do see students of all ages and backgrounds. So we'd love to have any of our older students. If anyone's watching this who doesn't think that they would technically fit in at Wayne, I challenge you to come down and check us out. Because we do have a lot of different students than a lot of people expect. So that's really great to see. We do have a lot of questions talking about the technical aspect of campus. You know, how to apply. how to log into Academica and things like that, I do want to talk a little bit about the application process first, putting on my admissions counselor hat just for a minute, and then we'll go on to some of the other questions. All right, does that sound fair?
Mm-hmm.
All right. So the big question about how to apply, a lot of the easiest way to apply would be on our application that is on our main website, wayne.edu/apply. It's a fairly simple application process. It usually takes students about 10 to 15 minutes, and it is mobile enabled, so students can apply on their cell phones if they wanted to. Wayne.edu/apply would open up the first page of the application, where you'd be able to fill out your demographic information and just info like that, letting us know a little bit more about you. On the second page there is where you'll pick a major or an exploratory track that you would be interested in. Give us a little bit more of an educational background on you, what high school or community college you currently attend, and then you'd hit submit, and we'd get that. So it would first start off by sending you an email to the one that you used on your application. So that one is important to remember, which will then give you a temporary username and password and a link to our application status page or app status. At that point, you'll be able to see a live checklist that'll tell you what you need to complete the application, whether that would be your college transcripts or your high school transcripts, your SAT or ACT test scores, because we do take both, or the $25 undergraduate application fee or a fee waiver on that end. Once you submit all those documents, you'll see green check boxes on all those requirements, and then it'll let you know whether you've been admitted or not. At which point you can accept your admissions decision, activate your Academica, which I'll go to Mariah in a minute to talk a little bit about the services there, and then register for an orientation, which hopefully we'll get to a little bit later in this broadcast as well. But one of the things on that Academica page is the your access to all of your financial aid documentation. And that's definitely something that I want Mariah to touch on, talk a little bit about why the FAFSA is so important, and when you should fill it out. So Mariah, if you want to jump in now, I'd love to hear from you.
All right, awesome. So FAFSA is basically, it's like the foundation of your financial aid application here at Wayne State. So every year you're going to want to fill this out. You go to fafsa.ed.gov. Make sure you're not going to fafsa.com. Once you can actually start doing that as of October 1st. A lot of people hesitate and they wait to fill out the FAFSA because they think they have to wait for their parents to file taxes, but actually that's not the case. You're going to be using your parents' 2016 tax information, so it should make it really easy for everybody to go online, starting October 1st and get their FAFSA into us as quickly as possible. You can kick off the whole process. Now, we're talking about Academica. You can monitor your financial aid status there. So there's a resource menu. Under the resources menu, if you select financial aid, you can view my financial aid requirements. If we're asking for anything from you, we're going to have a list of things there. So it might be that we need documents of some kind, or you have to take some kind of action if you're going to take out a loan, for example. If that is the case, you can hover over the requirements to view information about them, or you can just click on them and you can submit pretty much any of your forms online. If you have questions too, always definitely contact us. The important thing is just if we are trying to get in touch with you or if you have things to do, get it all done as early as possible. So that way you can know exactly what kind of financial aid is coming to you, and then you don't have to stress, you can just totally enjoy your school year. I don't know, Nick, do you think I've anything else that I should touch on, or?
No, Mariah, that was excellent. That's a great answer. If there are any further questions, our very happy and smiling financial aid officers are available to meet with students Monday through Friday at the Welcome Center on the corner of Woodward and Warren. The address is 42 West Warren. It's in Detroit. It's a beautiful building, and we'd love to have you guys come down and talk to our financial aid officers for a little bit more of a personal one-on-one session talking about FAFSA and everything else as well. We do have a few questions coming in. So you've been admitted, you fill out FAFSA, you're here. One of the biggest questions is, how much is tuition at Wayne State? I will say that we are a very competitive institution when it does come to tuition. And right now, what we're snapshotting our tuition and fees to amount to is about $12,978 a year, so a little under $13,000. When you factor in transportation cost or room and board and things like that, it will change a bit. But that's why it's so important to fill out the FAFSA to see if you can get any help with that cost there. Continuing down the list, I think some of these questions would go back to Annabelle and Delaney for sure. Let's see here. Is living on campus covered by financial aid? You know what, Mariah, actually, that might be a good question for you to answer as well.
Okay, sure. So you're going to get something called a financial aid award, which basically will have a list of things that could be loans, grants, scholarships, money that you can use to pay toward your educational costs. If you're living on campus, all of your costs are going to be on your bill. So you'll have tuition and fees, and then you'll have room and board charges. And if your financial aid can go directly toward paying all of those costs. If you're living off campus, you can actually still get financial aid to help you with that. So basically, it depends on the amount of your financial aid, but the short answer is yes, it can go toward paying your housing if you have enough money to cover all of that in your bill.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Mariah. So now the question is, I've got money, I'm living on campus. What is the food like on campus? What are the residence halls like?
I feel like I might go ahead and take over on that one since I did just live there last year. So let me just put this right off the bat that I applied to like 12 schools. I think I went on about 8 or so tours of different campuses and things like that. So I made my rounds. I'm not just kind of going off of what I've seen here. I can definitely tell you. Our residence halls are so nice. So like I said, I lived in Towers Residential Suites. So that is obviously suite style, as you can kind of guess from that name. So just to give you an idea of what my room looked like, I had 3 other roommates. However, we all had our own individual bedrooms, and then we shared a living room space, as well as a room with a shower and a room with a toilet with sinks on the outside. So it was really nice to have that option of privacy to be able to go ahead and shut the door, you know, if you need time alone or if you need to study, you know, get sleep, those sorts of things that are very important as a student. But then also to kind of have that community space just with your roommates. And then beyond that, you know, obviously you're able to go into different people's rooms that you live in the same residence hall with and make a lot of friends that way as well. As far as the food goes, the food is good. And I'm not lying to you right now, I'm being very serious. It is good. So we have 2 main cafeterias on campus. The first one would be Towers Cafe, which is on the main floor of Towers Residential Suites. So in there, find all kinds of stuff. So they have a home style station, a grill station, a salad bar, a soup station, a panini station, a pasta station, a pizza station. They have an international grill that goes back and forth between being a burrito bar and Mongolian grill. They also have a dessert bar in there. And at each station, you can find 5 or 6 options. So all kinds of stuff going on in Towers Cafe. The other cafeteria is Golden Greens, which is actually vegan, vegetarian, and kosher. So if you do have dietary restrictions, that's fantastic. However, I'm a vegetarian, and I'll tell you right now, they have options for me at Towers every day as well. But so that cafeteria is kind of specific in that sense. Even if you don't have dietary restrictions, though, that's a great place to go for breakfast. You can get really fresh produce and things like that. So on top of those cafeterias, just going back to the resident hall kind of situation, we also have Ghaffari and Atchison, which are more traditional room style residence halls. So we have double suites, triple suites, single suites, not suites, I'm sorry, single rooms, things like that in those buildings. And then we also have the Thompson Home, which is specific to College of Fine Performing and Communication Arts students. We also have some apartment options on campus, and we are also in the process of building a new apartment building. The Anthony Wayne Apartments should be opening, fingers crossed, fall 2018 is what I've heard last. I'm assuming that's still correct. Correct me if I'm wrong. So I'm really excited to see what those are going to look like. But yeah, living on campus is awesome, and it's really fun to always be involved. And then, you know, we have all the food of your dreams within walking distance, even if you didn't want to eat in the cafeterias, since we are in Midtown and we're surrounded by so many different cultures, like you name it, and there's a restaurant for it within 10 minutes of walking distance. So don't worry about food.
That's excellent. Thank you, Delaney. We do have a question coming in from Twitter. Mara tweeted at us using the @WayneState and the hashtag #AskAWarrior. She asks, am I allowed to dual major in more than one school? And if so, how would I fill out the application? So I'll start on the application part of this. But I did want to know before I get into that, are either of you dual majoring? Delaney, do you know? Annabelle?
No, I don't.
Okay. Well, dual majoring is definitely something that our students can choose to do here. We make it pretty easy to do, meshing programs together using the degree work system that we have here on campus. When you do apply, Mara, you would have to choose one of them. Currently, our undergraduate admissions application doesn't give you the option to choose both. I hear you're interested in nursing and music. You would definitely want to choose one or the other for the application. But then once you get on campus, you can definitely talk to an academic advisor and try to get these programs to mesh. I will say pre-nursing and nursing is pretty difficult. Wayne State does have a reputation for being a pretty intense nursing school. Our music students are also pretty intensive. We have a lot of shows on campus, a lot of things to do. It's a very hands-on program. You picked two really great programs, but it's definitely something that you can do. You just need to choose one for the app again, but then once you get on campus, you can talk to an academic advisor to see if it is definitely possible. Let's see here. So there are a few more questions that I definitely want to talk about, and we're kind of talking student life and just on campus in general. A lot of the times when I'm at high schools, I get this asked a lot, and they don't believe me as an admissions counselor. They like to hear it from students, of course. But they ask, how much harder is college than high school? What will they have to do a little differently? And that's something that I love to hear about.
All right, I'll speak on that one first. So for me, I actually went to a performing arts high school, Arts Academy in the Woods, and I was a dance major there. So high school for me was very easy. I had 4 dance classes my senior year and only 3 academic classes. So it was a bit of a breeze for me. So coming into a university setting was a little bit of a challenge. I like to think of myself as an organized person in general. But when I came to Wayne State, I really had to learn how to keep myself organized, how to take notes well, how to plan my days well, so I wasn't just going to class and then assuming I had 5 hours to do whatever I wanted. You do have to stay on top of your homework, which is something you need to learn yourself, kind of. But the average full-time college student spends an average of 15 hours a week in a classroom, which means that's half of what high schoolers are currently doing. So you really need to learn how to organize yourself, which is the biggest thing for me. And I also felt like I needed to do a little bit of catching up compared to some other students who maybe went to schools that were a little bit more rigorous in their academics. So yeah, that was the biggest thing for me, I would say, is just learning how to organize myself and time management for sure.
All right, and I'll pick up where you left off. So I came from a high school with very rigorous academics. So I would say as far as the workload sense, I was definitely prepared right off the bat for that. One thing I hadn't really thought about ahead of time transitioning into college was because like you mentioned, the average student only spends about 15 hours a week actually in the classroom. So now you are sat with all this extra free time. It's like, okay, what am I supposed to do with it? So obviously you do want to spend a decent chunk of that time studying because now the expectation is that you are going to manage that yourself and you don't need to be with your professor/teacher to be able to get that work done. So definitely time management, as you mentioned, and kind of figuring out that balance. But also now you have a lot of time to get involved in different student organizations, clubs. You may be on a sports team, maybe you do want to get a campus job, something like that, internships. So it's nice to now have that flexibility. And at Wayne State, for the majority of our classes, depends on what class you're taking, what level it is, how many students want to take that class, but we do offer different sections of the same class. So essentially what that looks like is, let's say Com 1010, which is a common class, especially for freshman students. It may be offered twice on Mondays and Wednesdays, and then there's a completely different section of it that will be taught on Tuesdays and Thursdays. So as a student, you can kind of choose what day and what time you're wanting to take those classes. So especially if you know you're going to have other obligations, and now being able to kind of schedule around those, having that freedom is really awesome.
Excellent. Thank you so much, both of you. Mariah, I have a question for you. We're talking about balancing work and life and things like that. So a lot of the questions I get asked are, I want to get a campus job, but I keep hearing this work study get thrown around. How do I get work study? How do I know if I have it? And really, what is it in general?
Okay, sure. So for our new students, we will have a work study request form that gets posted online. We have it available right now for the current academic year. For students that are coming in, say, next fall, that will probably be available in June or July. So you can submit this request. It takes, 2 seconds on our website, and then we know that you're interested in getting a work study. So we'll check to see, we do have some eligibility criteria. So we'll check to see if that's something you can have. If it is, basically what we do is we award you an allowance of money that you can earn throughout the academic year. So we might give you, say, $4,000. And so during the fall semester and the winter semester, you could find a job on campus and you could earn up to $2,000 working at that job. So I think Career Services has lots of resources for you, so you can go out there and you can actually search for jobs once you get the work study in place, and then you know that you're going to have the resource to get paid.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Mariah. We're continuing to talk about working on campus and things like that. A lot of students ask about internships and things like that. And I know, Annabelle, you're currently doing an internship, right?
Yes, I am here at Wayne State, actually, with the Wayne State's sports medicine department. So I am interning with all the different athletic trainers here. I absolutely love having my internship where I go to school and where I go to work. It is so convenient for me. It's just literally right down the street from me on Warren Avenue. Yeah, so I do love it. I've also, again, worked on campus since I was a freshman, which also is really convenient. You don't have to feel rushed going from class to work or work to class. It's always about a 5-10 minute walk. So I do say it's very convenient. There are endless amounts of jobs on campus in all sorts of different departments as well.
Excellent. Delaney, do you have any experience with internships, or are you seeking one right now?
Yeah, so I have not actually done an internship yet. Which actually may be useful for this conversation because I am in the process of starting to look for them. So for a lot of our programs, an internship actually will be required, which is Annabelle right now is actually doing her internship and getting college credit for it. So it's really cool that we do offer that, in my opinion, because I mean, you're kind of like getting school credit for doing something you really do enjoy, and that's something you're able to put on your resume as well. So your advisors will definitely try to help you to obtain those internships, but we also do have an office on campus called Career Services, and they can help you get those internships as well. So, the biggest thing I would say to do in terms of internships is try to do some networking yourself. If you're able to kind of get your foot in the door with a specific company, what have you, that's going to help you out in the long run. And then obviously by making those connections, and if you do perform well in your internship, that's what's going to help you get a job. But you will see a lot of times in classes having professionals come in and do guest lectures and so on and so forth. Last week in one of my classes, we had the news director for WDET come in and lecture, and then he was hitting on business cards and just said, okay, like email me if you want an internship and we'll set it up. So those opportunities are definitely very present. And the Career Services will get you those connections as well, and they will also do mock interviews for you, and I do have a fully stocked interview apparel closet as well. So all the resources you need are right here on campus.
Yeah, so Delaney is right about that. Some of the internships are required. For mine, it's a 300-hour internship it's a minimum of 300 hours. So I have to complete that. A lot of students in my program, the kinesiology program, have the opportunity to get paid internships, which is really great. For me, mine is unpaid, but I do have this job, which kind of makes up for that in that regard. But you can get a paid one, an unpaid one. For me, mine was really, really great. I didn't even interview for mine. And that comes a lot with the networking. Being on campus all the time, seeing and meeting different people is a really, really good resource. And I honestly just happened to meet the Wayne State's athletic training director, and he just offered me an internship. It was very, very handy for me, I will say. But I would say for other students, it's very important to take advantage, of the career services because, again, they have endless amounts of resources for that.
Thank you both very much for answering that. I think that's going to help a lot of people. We're talking about all the things that you guys are doing on campus, and the stress has to be high. Sometimes I do get asked, and we actually have a few questions about this. What happens if I get sick on campus or I need some help? What would you say to students who are looking for guidance or even some medical attention?
So we do actually have a campus health center, and I believe you can go there at least once a month. They don't ask any questions about insurance. It's absolutely free to go not once a month, once a semester. So for students who are living on campus and their hometown is 3 or more hours away, that's really, really convenient, especially if they never got their insurance from their parents and it's taking a couple days to get over it. They have that immediate resource, which is really nice. We also have, if you're having any other problems, an office called CAPS, which is in our student center, and that's our counseling and psychological services. So we have free counselors here on our campus to speak to students. You don't have to have any type of insurance for that. So if you're having a hard time transitioning on to the campus setting or to the university setting, you have that opportunity to take that opportunity and just speak with someone. It could be something more mundane, like maybe you got in a fight with your roommate. But yeah, we do have both of those resources that students can take advantage of.
Excellent. Thanks a lot. So we're talking medical help, some of those resources there. One of the other questions is who to talk to for class help. Like, how do I know which classes to take, and like, things like that. So if we can go on to that, Annabelle or even Delaney first, and then we'll go over back to Annabelle.
All right. So you will have advisors, and they will be, I'm going to pause for a second, just something students who may not know, because I know I did not know this going into college, wasn't really clear to me. So there is Wayne State University, like an umbrella, and then underneath that we do have individual colleges. So that would be such as the College of Engineering, the College of Fine Performing and Communication Arts, the College of Education, so on and so forth. So you will actually be connected with an advisor from your specific college at orientation. And then, beyond that, you have access to them all the time. You can email them. You can go on Academica and set up meetings with them as well. So I literally go to my advisor every single semester and I say, hi, like, what classes should I take now? So she goes ahead and gives me some suggestions, and then we go ahead and set that up. So that makes it really easy, kind of gets the confusion out of the way on my end to make sure I'm not taking the wrong classes, because sometimes there are prerequisite classes you have to take before you're able to take an upper level class. But also Wayne State gives students a resource called DegreeWorks. So once you become a student and you have access to that, you can log on and actually view a worksheet of every single class you are required to take to fulfill your major requirements, your minor requirements, your general education requirements, all of that. So that way you can kind of make a plan. You're able to go on there and say, okay, well, what if I switch my major to this? What requirements do I have done if I were to do that? So lots of ways to go about choosing which classes to take. And then obviously you have access to other students at the university who can kind of give you some suggestions. And yeah, that would be my best answer for that.
Excellent. So academic advisors are incredibly important resources. to have at the university, and we encourage students to meet with them as often as they can, at least once a semester if you can. We do get asked when we get into the nitty-gritty of the classes and how to actually make sure that you're on track to graduate. A question that does get thrown on a lot is like satisfactory academic progress. Now, that has some ties to financial aid. It's definitely something that, Mariah, if you want to touch on just a bit, I think that would benefit a lot of the viewers watching.
Okay, sure. So to keep getting financial aid, you actually do have to do your part a little bit. So you have to meet some kind of academic standards. That means that every semester you have to be getting at least a 2.0 GPA, and you also have to be passing 67% of the credits that you are attempting. So that means 2/3 of the classes that you are registered for and taking, you need to be passing those classes. They also have some guidelines too about you need to finish your degree within a certain amount of time. Usually that amount of time comes to about 6 years. So most people can get it done in about 4 years. That shouldn't be a problem, but make sure that you're doing your absolute best, passing most of your classes, getting that 2.0 GPA, and that will keep you on track, at least for the federal financial aid portion.
Excellent. Thanks a lot for that, Mariah. There are a few more questions talking about prerequisites and things like that. And Delaney, if you want to chime in a bit on like the prereqs that you had to take, and maybe if you could talk a little bit about testing out, that I think that benefit a lot of people.
Sure. So as far as prereqs go, so essentially what they try to do is equip you with knowledge that is going to help you in a later class. That's essentially what a prerequisite does. But also one thing I've learned even just starting off this semester is that those prereqs will also help you succeed in your internships. So I can't do a TV internship until I take one of the prereqs for the internship. So they are literally watching out for every aspect of your academic career and your professional career and so on and so forth. But so just on top of prerequisites, you do have those general education requirements, which are a big deal. So essentially general education requirements are your core classes. So that's going to be that English, history, math, the classes you're essentially taking in high school right now. You will have to do some of those in university once you get up to that level. So it kind of depends. The requirements will depend on what major you are planning on stepping into, what major program you want to go into. But you do have the opportunity to go ahead and get those out of the way while you are still in high school. So that's when those AP exams really come into play. You definitely want to be taking AP classes when you are in when you are in high school. And by taking those exams, you actually go ahead and get rid of the requirement. And that way, when you come into university, you don't have to take those classes, and you're able to step straight in and start taking classes that are specifically geared towards your major, which in my opinion is a lot more fun. And then obviously it will seriously save you thousands of dollars in the long run. So if you're able to get those prereqs done now, I would highly recommend it to students, because I think you're going to like taking classes that are around your major rather than those prereqs once you get here. However, like Annabelle mentioned earlier, we do have tutoring. So for all of those for all of the general education classes we offer, you will also be able to find free tutoring on campus. So even if you do have to take them, no big deal. Most students do. I am right now. We have free tutoring for that.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Delaney. And I did want to ask, this is always a great question, a fun one to answer. Delaney, what is your favorite class that you've taken so far?
My favorite class that I've taken so far has been Mass Communications with Oshagan. He has traveled all over the place. He's worked in all sorts of different government positions, like seriously all over the world. He's amazing. But so the class is essentially how mass media, so for those of you who don't know, mass media are things like television, radio, movies, the newspaper, music, everything you hear, everything you take in that way, how it affects our society. He was bringing up things that were absolutely blowing my mind. Things like the knowledge gap and how Sesame Street is creating a knowledge gap between different levels of income, different families, and how that's kind of changing how children grow up and what they're able to do to get into college and high school and how that affects things in the long run. So seriously, like we had a whole week about Sesame Street, just to give you an idea. So he definitely covered topics you would never even imagine were topics in the first place. I always tell my friends to take that class, even if they aren't going into communications. I'm like, please take that as your elective. It's an amazing class, and you will talk about it forever. I talk about it all the time.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Mariah, I did want to ask you as well, what was your favorite class in the undergrad? And then if we can go towards what made you gravitate towards WSU, and then we'll go back down to Annabelle and so forth.
Okay, sure. So I guess I obviously didn't go to Wayne State, but my favorite class as an undergrad, I took a book publishing class. So we got to read basically aspiring authors' unpublished manuscripts and work together to advise them on it, so work directly with writers. That was just really cool. Any kind of thing where you're working with people in the outside community and getting actual real experience is incredibly valuable. So you'll see when you're here, you get these kinds of opportunities in classes that really end up leading to career opportunities, depending on what you want to do after you graduate. I was drawn to Wayne State specifically. I really, really loved Detroit, really loved Wayne State when I came here. As Nick was saying earlier, it's just the student body is so diverse. You have people of all ages from all different kinds of backgrounds just here in one place. So I never know like who I'm going to see throughout the day. I meet all different kinds of people, learned all kinds of different stuff about people that live in the Midwest particularly. And it's just been really great getting to meet everyone here, and there's so much going on at Wayne State. I went to a much smaller school, so I can really appreciate how there's always events happening here, so many different majors and programs available. And I know the students, you guys can talk a lot more about that too.
Thank you so much, Mariah. Annabelle, if you did want to talk about your favorite class here, and then why did you choose Wayne State?
So I'll have to say that my favorite class was probably Kinesiology 1991. So that's just a basic kinesiology class. But what's really cool about that class is the instructor, she brought in several different people from different job careers like cardiac rehab. We had the Red Wings dietitian come in. So you kind of just get to see about the different careers that you can go into with kinesiology, which is kind of what led me to stick with my major. I was pre-physical therapy when I started here at Wayne State, and then I kind of just fell out of that. And then kinesiology is where I discovered my true passion was. So that really geared me towards that and kind of prepared me for that. Funny thing, I didn't actually want to come to Wayne State at first. I do have a brother who is a year older than me, and I came with him to some event, and the day I came with him, I just absolutely fell in love with Wayne State's campus. Our campus is beautiful, and it does speak for itself. And then after that day, I just kind of stopped filling out all my other applications, and I decided Wayne State was going to be it for me, and I've been committed since. So
Thanks a lot, Annabelle. I think that's a great thing to relay. Our campus is beautiful, and a lot of the times we try to get students to come to campus to check it out. And I can say that we all pretty much had that moment when we got to campus and said, this is where I belong. So shameless plug again, Annabelle is a campus tour coordinator. Delaney is a tour guide. We'd love to have you guys all on campus to come check us out for sure. We do have our fall open house coming up this Saturday. We'd love for you all to attend. If you want more information on that, you can check out our main website, wayne.edu, type in fall open house, and I'll get you all the information there, all right? We are pretty close to the end here, so I definitely want to ask you all if you had any advice for a incoming freshman. Right now, they're starting their senior year, they're applying to colleges. What is one thing you wish you had known that you could relay to this next generation of future warriors?
I'll go ahead and take the lead on that one, again, since I am kind of fresh out of the high school game. So one bit of advice, one thing, actually I did know this because my parents were very diligent in making sure that I knew this, scholarships. You can have your entire college career paid for if you put in some work now. And that can be a range of things. So you can get scholarships for doing things like filling out various essay forms, things I'm sure you guys are familiar with. You've been hearing about that, especially since a lot of you are going into your senior year, or you are in your senior year currently. But you can seriously get scholarships for being left-handed. You can get scholarships for the city you're from. You can get scholarships based off of different hobbies and things you may do. So I think it's very important to kind of look into that ahead of time, get that done your undergrad or graduate, whatever you are looking to go into, a lot easier and a lot less, I guess, stressful, so to say, because you already have the financial side of it out of the way, and you're not having to kind of think about that. And now you don't have to work if your studies are taking up a lot of your time. You're not trying to compensate for that. So that would be a very important thing. But outside of that, I think just ask questions. I was kind of like off-put by the idea of having to completely switch the academic environment that I was used to. I didn't understand what credits were. I had no clue how to schedule classes. And that was because I wasn't asking questions. And when someone asked me, I just said, oh, yep, I know how to do that. I'll figure it out. It's fine. So luckily, I ended up being in a position where I work with admissions counselors and I work with financial aid officers every day of my life. And then a lot of my friends are older than me, so they are able to help me in that way as well. But I know that if I didn't have those things, understanding the different aspects of being in a university might be a little bit confusing. So go ahead and take some time to ask questions. You can ask your parents, your teachers at high school, your counselors at high school. They will all be able to answer those questions for you. And then obviously you are more than welcome to come here. You come to our Welcome Center and you have access to our admissions counselors. You can meet with Nick, you can meet with Mariah, or you can schedule a campus visit and you can ask Annabelle or myself questions about that. So that would be my biggest thing. Get some of that confusion out of the way. That way when you do step into the door of a university, you can kind of just take off right off the bat.
Yeah, just tagging along with what Delaney was saying, you really, really should take advantage of all the different resources that we have on campus. I was and am a first-generation college student, so I'm the first one in my family to have attended a university, and I'll be the first one graduating with a degree this December. So I was completely unaware of all the different resources, and it can be overwhelming. So my advice would be, don't be afraid to ask what's out there, because you really don't know until you ask, or until it's advertised to you in some way, shape, or form. But for me, that's one of the things that I love about my job, is that we get to talk to prospective students and kind of give them an idea that college is a doable thing. We do talk to a lot of students who just think it's so far out of reach for them, and it's not. So just knowing what's out there, and so taking the time to research those things on your own, asking again. All of us are here because we love to help students. So yeah, just taking advantage of all those different resources and opportunities.
Excellent. Thanks a lot, both of you. I did want to mention, Delaney, you did talk about scholarships very briefly. I did want to mention a new program that we have. It's called the Raise Me program. It's a future investment. What it allows is for students to earn micro scholarships for everyday academic achievements, like earning an A or visiting a college campus. It's definitely a really cool program that I want more students to know about. You can sign up on raise.me/join/Wayne State. It's definitely something that we encourage everyone to check out, whether you're a high school sophomore or a senior. It's definitely something that you should check out. All right. We are very short on time here, so I definitely do want Mariah to just plug in a little bit more about scholarships as we wrap this up. All right.
Okay, great. Something else to mention, this is more an admissions thing too, but make sure that you're getting your admissions application in early so that you're getting considered for merit scholarships at Wayne State. Nick, can you actually confirm the deadline for that? Do you guys have a deadline in place yet?
Yes. So for admissions right now, we're encouraging all students to fill out their application with all their checklist items completed by the priority scholarship deadline of December 1st. We do have a secondary deadline, but we really want to encourage to maximize your availability with the scholarships that we have to hit that December 1st deadline. So that is, again, the $25 application fee or the fee waiver, the online application, of course, your high school transcripts, and your test scores, all in by that December 1st deadline.
And then in our Office of Financial Aid, we actually have a secondary deadline, which in most years has been March 31st. So you want to make sure that you have at least your FAFSA in by that date so that we can consider you for some additional funding. But like Delaney was saying, you can do a lot of preparation for scholarships before you even start to look at your stuff at Wayne State. If you go to wayne.edu/scholarships, we have some links there so you can take a look at external scholarships, so totally outside of Wayne State. We have links to search engines, so you're not just kind of doing a Google search for scholarship and coming up with who knows how much spam and different things like that. This will bring you to like legitimate sites where you can put in different criteria that applies just to you, and you can get a list of scholarships that just you can apply for. And then in addition to that, you can go see your guidance counselor at your high school. A lot of times they have kind of the inside track on scholarships that are just local, like for people in your community or people that go to your high school. Those little scholarships that you get, if you get a lot of them, they really do add up. So don't just focus on these like Pepsi scholarships you see for $5,000. Take a look at these like $500, $1,000, $1,500 scholarships. If you get a whole bunch of those, like Delaney said, before you know it, you can get a ton of your tuition covered.
Thank you so much, Mariah. As we are wrapping up again, I do want to say if there are any other questions, I would love to see you guys on campus. I'm sure Mariah, Delaney, and Annabelle would as well. We do offer, again, campus tours, but we do have fall open house this Saturday. Again, it's September 23rd from 9 a.m. until 2:30 p.m. You can register online at wayne.edu/admissions/open house. We would love to see you there. You can meet other financial aid officers, admission staff, the tour guides, of course, and a lot of the other campus community members. So I do want to thank you all for coming here again and answering questions for our online viewers. I want to thank the viewers, of course, for tuning in with us. And if you did have any further questions, there will be a discussions thread on this page here. So definitely check that out, all right? If you all want to say thanks and goodbye again, I definitely do appreciate your joining us tonight.